Hello my friends, my name is Forge and welcome to a surprise video. So this is going to be something that I've been working towards for the past few weeks. And it's something that I really wanted to go and introduce to all of you, because I know that there's a lot of people that miss the old days of console edition. So just like what I did before with the tutorial worlds, I went ahead and put together a map pack of all the battle maps. Well, apart from 3. I do not have Valley, I do not have Atomics, and I do not have Capital. But apart from that, all of the other maps that you can find from the console edition, they are actually inside of here. And I'm going to go and leave a link down below in the description to get download this. But also, I do want to thank Teddy for giving me access to his PS3 saves, because without Teddy's help, I wouldn't have been able to go in and convert these over to the Bedrock edition. So I do want to thank him very much for that. But anyways, let's go ahead and take a look at the first map that we got here, which is going to be the good old lobby. Now, we all spent hours in this map. We waited for hours to go in and join a game. Well, maybe not hours, but we've all been inside this map quite a bit. But there's also a secret underneath here as well. If you remember, there was a secret underneath the well. We have a ruined version of the good old classic lobby, which this was actually the first ever lobby that we had for the battle minigame. So obviously it didn't look quite like this. Obviously there's blue skies. It looked a lot greener. And to be honest, it wasn't all messy at all either. As you go throughout these different maps, there's going to be absolutely nothing inside the chest. So if you want to, you can go ahead and loot up the chest, and then you can have a battle minigame with all of your friends, which I think is going to be really fun, and I think many of you will definitely enjoy that quite a bit. But with all that said, I'm going to go show you on how you can get these maps. So down below in the description, you will find a link to MediaFire, but whenever you go and import it to the game, it's not going to import the worlds into the world section. Instead, you have to click on create new. It's going to import the maps to imported templates, because this is a template map pack. You have access to all these different maps, so that way you don't actually fill up your entire world saves with all the different maps. You can just come inside of here, go and select a map, and then you can go load it up and go ahead and play it. But you will actually have to change a few settings inside of here. Now for our next map, it's going to be CAVERN, which was basically just a ruined looking area. And if I remember one thing about this map, I really hated the fact that whenever I was on top of here, there'd be somebody else right behind you or in front of you, then they just knock you off and you fall all the way down into the water, or worst case scenario, you would fall right onto a block, which was like these big rocks. I just didn't like that whatsoever. But for the layout of this map, this was actually a really good map for big team battles. So like if there's somebody all the way up here, you could easily go and spot them. Then you can go in and run to the opposite side really quickly and try to avoid them. Now for our next map, it's going to be Cove, which was a pirate bay. So we had ourselves like pirate ships that were sunken down here. We had a bunch of diamond blocks everywhere. But there were different sections of the map. There was the golden section, there was the emerald section, and then there's the redstone section. Then there was also this big giant spooky looking skull. I actually had to say that this was probably one of the best looking skulls. Now our next map is going to be probably my least favorite ones, and that's probably because of all the lava everywhere. But this was basically a map that was set inside the nether. Crucible was a very dangerous map. I remember that all the times I would come down here. This is actually the place that you did not want to be in, because if you're down here, then somebody can easily just go ahead and knock you off. But also this map is probably my least favorite one, because there's way too much bedrock everywhere. I actually do not remember there being this much bedrock, but yeah, I just don't like it at all. But then of course right over here there was some parkour that you can go ahead and do. So as you come across here, then there will be some really good loot right inside there. And look at that, I'm actually really good at this parkour. I mean, I say that as I fall right into the lava. Now for lair, this was a dragon's lair. There was a dead dragon right here, but of course there is going to be a dragon egg right inside the center. This map was fairly small. Yeah, this wasn't a very big map. But one of the best places that you could be in is going to be on the ice spots, because if there is somebody over here and they were coming up to you, you could easily knock them right off. And we're just going to move on to the next map, which is going to be Ruin. So Ruin is going to be based in City texture pack, and it did actually look really good in that texture pack, but to be honest, I think it looks really good without it as well. I remember that people would always go down to the center, they would go ahead and get some really good stuff out of the chests, and then they would make their way to the highest point. This is basically going to be what the outside looks like, and to be honest, I never got to see the outside of this map before. Nobody has ever seen the outside of this map. apart from people that have sneaky ways of exporting it out and then go ahead and loading it up in a separate world. But for those players that couldn't actually see the outside of the map before, this is what it looks like. It literally looks like a ruined city. The next step is going to be Siege. Which is Siege, there is a big battle going on. There is the attackers on this side. There's the defenders over on this side. And it's your job to go in and take out the attackers. Or if you're defending, then you need to go and just defend everything around here. And I really did enjoy this map. This is by far one of my favorite maps whenever it does come to the battle minigame. But I'll go in and get on to what the next map is going to be, because it's going to be basically a tie-in to this map. But as we go throughout here, we will be able to go and find ourselves some city buildings that are laying ruins. We have ourselves our attacking team, which has cannons. We have ourselves catapults. And there's even going to be some guard towers as well, which these are all primed, you guessed it, with arrows. And there's only one arrow inside of there. So, you know what? Let's go and get rid of that arrow. Okay, there we go. We saved the day. They have no more arrows. Well, maybe they have arrows over there. But, you know what? With all that said, this is basically it for this map. And I did like it quite a bit. But we're going to go ahead and move on to the next one, which is going to be Medusa. Now, Medusa was set in the Greek mythology texture pack. You had yourself Medusa herself right over here. You had snakes that you got to go ahead and walk across. And then there's going to be the underside. Now, underneath here, I always remember I would get stuck inside the water. And then one of the other players, they would be able to go ahead and keep knocking you forward. And it was absolutely annoying. I did not like that whatsoever. Or you would end up falling in the fire, which is also a really bad thing. But if you were on top of the snakes, then you might get yourself an upper hand, because you can just go ahead and knock the players right off the platforms. Now for our next map is going to be Castle. So as you go throughout this map, you got yourself a courtyard that you can explore. Continue going down this way. You get yourself this little hallway with some really good armor stands. I mean, this armor stand actually has really good diamond armor. But you actually cannot use the diamond armor whatsoever, which is actually quite unfortunate. Or else it might make the game a little bit too easy. But there's also going to be a throne room over this way, where you had to go and do some parkour to get to this little chest. And I remember that this chest would contain some really good loot, but you had to be really good at parkour if you even wanted to get remotely close to that chest. But over this way, there was going to be a nice little dining hall with a full cake. Okay, I got a little bit hungry earlier, and I may have eaten some of the cake. You know what? Now the cake's all gone. The suspicion is not on me anymore. Okay, I blame the king. The king ate the cake. But anyways, this was basically it for this map. For Invasion, this was a really cool map at the time. But I don't think it looks as good as it did back in the day, because it used the city texture pack as a template. And I really don't like the fact that it doesn't look as good without the template, because without the texture pack, this map just looks pretty generic. I mean, if you know what I mean. It just looks really basic. We have those flying saucers from the pumpkin people, because they make their flying saucers out of pumpkin apparently. There was going to be the sea aliens, which was using sea lanterns. And of course they were all fighting over the control of Earth. And then of course we had ourselves this big mothership, which I remember, I think that this was actually from another movie I've seen. Like, and this reminds me of a movie I've seen recently. I think it was, and this reminds me of Independence Day a little bit, when they were actually shooting out the lasers and destroying the buildings. But I remember that movie, it did cause a lot more destruction. But coming down here, we did ourselves this big central area, which was a bunch of city buildings that you got to go ahead and go onto the rooftops of. And it's actually pretty cool. For over this way was actually going to be the main area that a lot of people would go to. I remember that some people would actually come here, and they like to hide in these little areas. And I really did not like that whatsoever. So anybody who hides out of a map that's all PvP based, then it means that they shouldn't even be there, because they're not very good at PvP. Now, Shipyard was actually a steampunk port that you found all the way up inside the sky, while underneath here was actually a normal Minecraft world. So if you did actually decide to play this map in survival mode, you actually could go ahead and do that. But I really don't know about how far this actually goes, so it actually seems like it goes pretty far. So yeah, it is just a normal Minecraft world, but with a steampunk build on the very top of the sky. But the whole premise behind this map is that it was basically just a factory port for the skyships to go to get repairs. And to be honest, it does look really good. Now, Frontier is an old western town that you got to explore. You had yourself a train, you had yourself ravines everywhere, but you also had yourself some really cool buildings to explore from the old western days. Now, one thing I remember some people would actually do, they would actually have standoffs. And then they would say, it is high noon. That's basically it for this map. For Dig, this was basically the entire map. This was just an excavation site where they're looking for some things. Apparently they were looking for like conduits maybe. I mean, I don't know, it looks like something a conduit would be inside of. They did find an end portal, which apparently they were trying to figure out on what the end portal actually did. But we all know what they do. They all take you to the scary end dimension, home of the terrifying Ender Dragon. So hopefully nobody actually figures out how to activate that thing, or else the whole world may be in trouble. But this was literally the entire map. Not very big whatsoever. But we're going to go ahead and move on to the next one, which is going to be Shrunk, which is actually one of my favorite ones. Now for Shrunk, you were shrunken down to the size of an ant. There was also going to be big areas they got to explore. This was by far one of the coolest maps that was available. So as you look around this map, there was different shelvings. There was trophies over here. There was going to be some plushies. And then, of course, there were posters everywhere. And now come down here. This person really had a messy bed. And, oh no, looks like we had ourselves a little bit of a mess down here. Okay, who made this mess? Jeffrey, I hope you're not making a mess down here. I think the cat brought something in. And we're going to go ahead and move on to Halloween. Now, I know Halloween just passed. But, you know, we can still have a little bit of fun. We can still have some spooky nonsense, right? I mean, what can we say? I mean, this is actually still a pretty cool map. Now, for this map, this did actually use the Halloween Master Pack, but it still looks really good without the Halloween Master Pack. You also had yourself a Ferris wheel, which had a pumpkin inside of it. There was going to be this big clown face. But the premise behind this map is that this was a spooky amusement park. They had yourself some really cool looking rides they got to go inside of. You had yourself a scary clown, a scary witch's hut, which I don't think that we ever got to go inside this hut. So you know what? Let's go and come inside of here. Was there anything good inside this hut? No, absolutely nothing. Now, Festive was a really, really good map. This used the Christmas texture pack, I believe. Or, wait, excuse me, Festive Master Pack. Okay, what's it called? The Christmas Master Pack. But this was still a pretty cool map. The whole premise behind this map is that you were inside of a town that was getting ready for Christmas. And I remember how difficult this parkour was. I would actually be down there, and I would try to make my way all the way around. You had to be careful that nobody shot you off with arrows. And then if you manage to make your way over here, then you can go onto the tree and get yourself something out of the chest. There's also going to be an underground area, which, let's see if I can find it. I think it was down here. Yeah, it was down here. Now, I know this place doesn't look that good with all the glowstone and, of course, the netherrack. But it did look good back in the day on the actual Master Pack. Because netherrack, for some reason, they decided to make the nether all blue. And I don't know why they made it all blue, but they decided to go and do that. The bricks down here, they were a different texture as well. Now for Atlantis, this was still a really good map back in the day, but as of right now, I just don't really get a good feel for this. Because originally, this did use the Greek mythology texture pack to make it look a lot better. But since we are on the Bedrock edition, I actually do not have that texture pack. But if you do actually have the Greek mythology pack, or a pack that looks good with this world, then you're going to be absolutely golden. But that's not to say that it still looks bad without it. Okay, even without it, this map still looks really good. For Libertalia, as you fly around here, you can see that there's going to be a lot of ships that are pretty much destroyed. There's also going to be some platforms that you can parkour across to get away from enemies, which was really cool. Now, if you really wanted to, you could go and jump into the water to escape an enemy that way. But also, this did originally use the Fallout Master Pack to make it look a lot better. Without the Fallout Master Pack, this world just looks like this. Not very good at all. Which, matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and reload this world. And I'm going to go and show you on what this world would look like. It looks so much better, doesn't it? And that is why I enjoyed this map so much back in the day. Because it just looks so good with the Fallout Master Pack. Now with that is basically it for all 18 maps that you can download in this map pack. And yet again, I do want to thank Ted Teddy for giving me access to his PS3 maps. So that way I can go and convert these to Bedrock and share all these with you. But down below in the description, you will find a link so you can download this. And go ahead and give me your thoughts as well about what you think of this. If you enjoyed today's video, then also let me know by leaving a like on it and subscribe so you never miss an upload. For now, I hope you have a logical day, and I will catch you next time. Bye!